And it's a very good morning to the Gelding. Gelding, I hope that rain isn't going to spoil the parade at the Black Caviar Lightning at Flemington today.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Oh, look, every possibility, Professor. It's rained here at Caulfield South overnight. It's not running at the moment. What about where you are?
It's pouring here, Gelding, and we've got a lightning storm going on, so hopefully we won't lose power.
Well, hopefully that doesn't get to Flemington, Professor. Look, they have had some rain, but I'll leave you to give the update on the state of the track. But I will say, as I've said many times, if any track can handle it, of course, it's Flemington. But if you get rain during the day and it digs up, churns up, can be very hard. But we'll try, Professor.
Well, I agree with you, Gelding. We're lucky we're on the best track in Australia today. It's certainly the place you would want to be. It's a 10-race card. The first is at 12:15. The last is at 5:35. The feature race, of course, Gelding, a Group 1 race, race 8, the Black Caviar Lightning over 1,000 metres. It's worth $1 million. So it's great to see some group racing, and there's two Group 3s on the card as well.
Yes, Professor, good to see Group 1 racing return to Flemington, and with the appropriate prize money. As I said previously, we think every Group 1 here should be worth $1 million.
At least, Gelding. The track at 7 o'clock this morning was rated a good 4. Showery conditions during the day are predicted by the Weather Bureau, Gelding, so punters should, as we always say, have a look at the first couple of races to see how the pattern of racing is and how the horses are reacting to the track. The rail's in the true position, which we all always love, Gelding.
Yes, Professor. True racing on a good racing surface. This is what we like.
What are your two best bets for today's racing, Gelding?
Well, Professor, quickly before we get on to the tips, I'd like to welcome 2 new listeners to the show, Professor.
Oh, Gelding, it's always good to have new followers. Where are they tuning in from?
Mark and Kim from Santa Monica are on a Friday night in downtown California.
Oh, very nice. And no doubt they'll be very interested in the Flemington selections for today.
I'm sure they will, and they're very keen followers of the show, Professor, when in Melbourne.
Oh, excellent, Gelding. Great to have them aboard.
Yes, welcome, guys. First tip, Professor. I'm going late in the day. I'm going race 7 and race 8, a Group 3 and a Group 1 race. The first tip is race 7, number 6, for Roche. Professor, trained by Dominic Sutton, a young up and rising trainer, to be ridden by Bill Egan. This horse, Professor, very, very unlucky in the spring. Was second, beaten a short half head in the Caulfield Guineas, Professor. We know what a biased track Caulfield was that day, Professor, because we had a runner there that day. So you had to be on pace. But look, this horse settled third and was fourth on the turn and was beaten by a short half head by what was the horse's name? Private Life, Chris Waller's horse, which led on the day, which was the prime position to be. So any horse that can be beaten a short half head, Professor, in probably what's the main Group 1 race for 3-year-olds. Anyway, look, hopefully it can get there. Look, I got $8 last night on it, Professor, so I think it's a very, very good each-way chance at $8. So this will be a horse we'll be following during the autumn and hopefully can continue running.
Well, Gelding, can I just break in there just for a second? You're very good to get $8 last night because it's currently showing on the tote $7.250.
Yep. So look, still a good each way bet at $7, Professor. So
Exactly, Gelding.
In what's a very, very open race of 3-year-olds, a lot of them are resuming. So anyway, we'll go that way. Next bet in the main race, the Black Caviar Lightning. Very hard to go past James McDonald when he comes down to Melbourne for Group 1 racing, Professor. I'll be going race 8, number 11, Switzerland, to beat a couple of my favourite horses in Growing Empire and Traffic Warden. Horses we've punted on before. Look, the reason I went this, Switzerland has won down the straight at Flemington before, winning the Coolmore for 3-year-olds, beating Traffic Warden and Growing Empire. McDonald comes down to ride this Chris Waller trained horse, where he could be in Sydney riding Via Sistina, who won the Cox Plate, who also resumes today. And I think, well, the owners, Coolmore, this horse is a fantastic stallion prospect. They wouldn't be running it unless they were confident in its ability of winning the race. So Waller bringing a horse down for its first start this campaign, McDonald coming down to ride it, Coolmore, this horse has got a fantastic value on it. They wouldn't risk that. So I reckon they could be all points leading to it running a very good race. Now, Professor, we get round about the 270. So I think that might be the way to go in the main race. So, excuse me, Professor, my tips are race 7, number 6 for Roche, into race 8, number 11, Switzerland. And you like?
Yes, Gelding. I'm going a little bit earlier than you for the first selection. Race 3, the Francis Tresady Stakes. A Group 3 race for horses 3-year-olds and above over 1,400 metres. I like in this one, Gelding, and I think you would be agreeing with me on this selection. Horse number 3, Fancify, coming out of barrier 2. Excellent statistics on this one, Gelding. 14 starts, 7 wins, 4 placings. So a 50% win rate, 79% place rate. This is almost a rerun of the Group 3 Belmain Stakes from 2 weeks ago at Sandown, Gelding. Nearly all the same horses are in it, and that was won by She's Bulletproof. Fancify ran a very close second.
Yeah, I like it, Professor.
Yeah, not only that, Gelding, this horse has got good form at the track. It won over this distance at Flemington in the Group 3 Hong Kong Jockey Club Stakes.
Right.
We've got Todd Panel in the saddle, Gelding. He's in career form, 12% over his career, but 16% over the last 50. And Michael Hickmott from South Australia, he's got 15% over his career. He's at 20% over the last 50. So I've got an informed horse, an informed jockey, an informed trainer. Fairly good odds for this horse, Gelding, at $2.70 and $1.30. So good each way ratings for the punters.
Well, Professor, the reason I like it is Michael Hickmott, a fantastic trainer, young up-and-comer. Todd Panel, one of the better riders in South Australia, has come over for the one ride, Professor, to stick with this horse. Probably given up 8 or 9 rides at Morfordville today in South Australia to follow this horse over. So he must have a fairly high opinion of it.
Yeah, I think so, Gelding. So that's my selection in race 3. And then we'll go to race 9, the Desirable Stakes, Gelding. It's a great name for a race, isn't it?
It is.
Great name for a racehorse too.
She was very good, Desirable, trained by Colin Hayes in the 70s.
Exactly, Gelding. So this is a listed race for 3-year-old fillies. Over 1,400 metres. I like in this one, it's got a great name too, Gelding. Horse number 4, Sneaky Sunrise.
Oh, Sneaky Sunrise in the Desirable Stakes.
That's right, Gelding. If ever there was an aim and bet, there's one for you. Coming out of barrier 5, Lightly raced, Gelding, only the 5 starts for 2 wins and 2 placings. So 40% win rate, 80% place rate. So those ratings are up, which we like.
Mm-hmm.
This horse back after a spell, Gelding. And what I liked about the horse is last start was in the Taj Rossi Series final when it ran second to Jenny's Meadow. Now, since then, Jenny's Meadows run in the Group 2 Edward Manifold Stakes, the Group 3 Ethereal Stakes, and where it ran second, and the Group 2 Wakeful Stakes. So to be beaten by a horse that's run in those group races, I think, and it was only just beaten. So I take a lot from that. It carried 58.5 at the last start. It's running in similar company today. It's down to 56. So that 2.5 kilos might also make a bit of a difference. Daniel Stackhouse in the saddle, and it's trained by the Hayes brothers. So you can currently get great each way odds, Gelding, on this one, $5 and $1.80.
Oh, I like it, Professor. And bit of a, as I said before, bit of an omen. A Hayes trained horse when their grandfather, Colin Hayes, trained Desirable. So bit of a little omen there.
Well, we hope there's a third omen for the race, Gelding. So hopefully we've picked the right horse in this one. So my 2 for today, race 3, horse 3, Fancify, and race 9, horse 4, the Sneaky Sunrise.
And I like it, Professor. You haven't set me a task with race 1 today.
No, Gelding. No, I had a look at race 1. Didn't like it at all.
Very good.
Didn't like race 2 either.
Very good.
I thought you'd be happy that it was in race 3.
Yeah, I thought you might have gone maybe the top end race 2, Shining Smile.
I could have. Now, Gelding, you, just before I get on to the Professor's Parlay, you mentioned horses resuming. Any word on when a horse that you and I have an interest in might be resuming?
Yes, Savvy Rocker. We did do a bit of chase up, have he not heard? And we were informed that the horse is still in the paddock. So, look, Professor, we may be, 3 or 4 months away. We may be May or June before we resume, I would imagine, after a throat operation with Savvy Rocker.
Might be a winter campaign, Gelding.
Oh, well, maybe a winter in Queensland or a late May start in Adelaide, Professor. All these possibilities are there, but yes, it could be a late campaign.
Yes. All right, let's look at the Professor's Parlay. Successful again last week, Gelding. Mr. Brightside running second. The Oklahoma City Thunder doing the right thing for us, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So our strike rate in the NBA has been fairly good, Gelding. We've missed once in, I think, about 8 selections. So I'm enjoying that. Unfortunately, the NBA have got their All-Star game this weekend, so there are no regular games to bet on, and I'm a bit wary about betting on All-Star games, Gelding.
Yes, Professor. Not the same, but listen, you're tipping in the American football, the NFL, and the NBA has been absolutely spot on. And geez, we were a bit stiff last week with Mr. Brightside, weren't we?
Well, I thought we were there until the last 30 metres or so.
I watched the replay about 6 times, Professor, and I've gone the early crow. I thought we've hung on, but not to be.
Well, Another Will is a good horse, though, Gelding, and I did say it was an excellent run.
Well ridden. Both are very good horses, Professor. But, Mr. Brightside, as we said last week, any horse that wins $16 million is an out-and-out champion.
Yeah. All right, Gelding. So that takes the parlay to 42.9%, almost 43%. So we're back over the 40% mark, and I'm enjoying that.
Good.
If we get up today, Gelding, it'll be up to 50%. So let's have the fingers crossed.
Let's hope that we pick well, Professor.
Yes, Gelding. All right. So the horse leg for today's Professor's Parlay is race 8, horse 11, Switzerland, for all the reasons you mentioned before, Gelding. Waller and McDonald, I don't think we should go past them. Switzerland's horse in very good form. And we'll parlay that into, take a deep breath, Gelding. You'll need to. Make sure you're sitting down. We're back into the Premier League.
What? Soccer?
Yeah, we're back into the Premier League, Gelding. We're going for Liverpool at home to beat Wolverhampton Wanderers. Liverpool first in the Premier League, only beaten once in 24 games, Gelding. Their goal difference is plus 35. They're playing the fourth bottom team, Gelding, Wolverhampton Wanderers. They've only had 5 wins. Interestingly, only 4 draws, minus 18 goal difference. Liverpool playing at home. That's the big pointer here, Gelding. Now, something you might not...
How did we go last time in the Premier League?
We didn't, Gelding. I got 1 out of 2, which didn't help us.
But didn't we have a perfect record and we were going to win quite easily?
Well, yes, Gelding. Yes. Now, something you might not like to hear, Gelding. I think Liverpool will be stung because during the week they had a loss to Plymouth Argyle in the 4th round of the FA Cup. So can you believe it? The team that's on top of the Premier League is out of the FA Cup, beaten by Plymouth Argyle, who are second bottom in the Championship, which is about 41 rungs below where Liverpool is. They've beaten 1-0 at Plymouth Argyle. But I still think that Liverpool will win out at home.
So the form guide is we're backing a side that got beaten by a side 3-4 grades lower than it last time.
There is a saver there, Gelding. They were playing all their under-21. They played their under-21 team.
So they've dropped the whole side and they're bringing back their good side.
Yes, Gelding.
Oh, Professor.
Well, I had to give that a break, Gelding. The trouble is when you're playing in so many competitions, you accept all that, Gelding?
I have faith, Professor.
All right. Well, I'm going to test that. Gelding, the next selection is really going to test that faith.
Okay. What are we saying in the Premier League?
No, we're hopping out of the Premier League. We're going into... now, if only we had Sean Callanan here, but unfortunately he's in the US at the moment because he was over there for the Super Bowl. We're going into esports, Gelding. We're going into Sean Callanan's wheelhouse here. Hang on, Gelding, is your screen? Hang on, Gelding, is your screen frozen, or it just seemed to have been on an extended pause?
Where are we going, Professor?
Esports, League of Legends.
Professor Parlays normally we back a racehorse, and then we back 2 sports.
Yes, well,
now, is esport a sport?
Well, it says it's sports.
So we're talking computer games here.
Yes, we are, Gelding. Now, the LEC League, let me just explain it for the listeners. The LEC League has got 10 teams. They play a round robin. Each team plays each other once, so there's 9 home and away games. The home and away season's finished. We're into the finals. So it's now a knockout competition and it's seeded playoffs. So we're going for Fanatics to beat Team Heretics or Heretics.
Heretics.
Team Heretics.
Okay.
Or Heretics. Whichever way, there might be a mispronunciation there, Gelding, but
Fanatics. So we're on the Fanatics.
We're on the Fanatics. Fanatics finished top of the league in the regular season. Only lost 1 game for the season, so they were 8-1. The Team Heretics, or Heretics, they finished 8 of 10, so they're only in the playoffs by the graces of finishing 8th. They only won 3 games for the season, Gelding. In their only match for the year, the Fanatics beat the Team Heretics. Now, the thing I like about Fanatics, they've got Oscar Jimenez from Spain. He's the top laner for the team. He's only 21. He's had 3 years with the Fanatics. And not only that, Gelding, in the 2023 finals, he had a pentakill, and that's big time. Do you know what a pentakill is, Gelding?
I'm in a daze, Professor.
Well, I'm dazzling you with the facts and figures here, Gelding. Pentakill is when you eliminate all 5 players in the opposition. So it's like a hat trick in cricket.
So you're on your computer.
Yes.
And you're firing imaginary bullets at the opposition.
Yes.
And you're taking them out of the game.
Yes.
And he got rid of 5 opposition players.
That's the whole of the opposition, yes. He got rid of the whole of the opposition. So he did that in the final series in 2023, Gelding, so we know he's a big game player.
Sounds like Dirty Harry.
I think Dirty Harry had real bullets.
Oh, Professor.
All right, Gelding. Well, so look, if there's one thing the viewers get from our show, there's a little bit of humour with the selections, Gelding, and I don't think you get that on any other program.
Professor, all I can say about this week is I have 110% full faith in the Professor's Parlay. And I'm glad I've only got to pick a horse league to contribute it. But geez, you've amazed me today with what you've come up with.
All right.
Is that a nice way of saying it?
So, Gelding, for the parlay, but imagine the research that goes in so I can tell you all about this. I was up very early this morning, Gelding. The NRL hasn't really started. You can't bet on the practice games. The AFL hasn't started. The Premier League we try to steer clear of. The NBA is in the All-Star round, so we're steering clear of that. The NFL just finished, and Major League Baseball hasn't started. So we are very, very limited in what. Oh, and the NBL is in its final stages too, and there's only one game this weekend, and I didn't like that either. So at $1.06 Gelding, the Fanatics look very well placed.
Oh, let's hope we get another fiver.
Yeah, we want a pentakill. We want a pentakill.
Pentakill.
All right, Gelding. I didn't bet on the pentakill either. That was prohibitive odds.
Okay.
All right, so the Professor's Parlay this week, for those who are taking notes, you better write this one down. Race 8, Horse 11, Switzerland. Into the Premier League, Liverpool to beat Wolverhampton Wanderers. Into LEC League, League of Legends, Esports, Fanatics to beat Team Heretics. Or Heretics. Whatever you want to say it.
Can I apologise to one of our listeners in Freddie Hogan, who follows the Professor's Parlay religiously. Good luck trying to get on the esports.
Oh, Gelding, we won't give advertisements for people who won't sponsor us.
Yes.
But there is a major betting organisation who you can make that bet with, and that's who the parlay will be with today.
Beautiful, Professor.
All right, Gelding. Yeah. Well, a lot of fun today. Really enjoyed it. I hope the viewers did. Now, they can do one thing for us. There's a like button on this. We please implore you to like it. And if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe to the channel because we love doing the program. We're going to keep doing it regardless of whether you subscribe or not. But at least if you subscribe, you'll be told when we're actually on air. So until next Saturday, Gelding, and that's racing. It's good luck.